All right, get ready to dive deep, because today we're off to Serpent Mound in Ohio. You guys sent in some pretty cool stuff, videos, articles, even some firsthand stories, right?
Yeah, it's quite the collection. We've got scientific stuff about the mound's connection to the stars, A and D. Some, well, let's just say more out there theories.
Totally. So what are we trying to do here? We got to sort through the facts and the folklore, see what we can figure out about this ancient place. I mean, we're talking big questions here. Who built it? And why a snake? What's up with all the spooky stories? Are people just letting their imaginations run wild, or is there something truly weird going on?
It's one of those places that seems to blur the lines. Even its origins are a bit of a head-scratcher. There are two possible groups who might have built it. The Adena people way back around 320 BC, or the Fort Ancient culture closer to 1070 AD.
And the crazy thing is carbon dating hasn't given us a straight answer, right? It's like Serpent Mound is playing hard to get.
You got it. It's a puzzle with some pieces missing, that's for sure. But here's the thing. We do know this. Serpent Mound is a huge earthwork shaped like, well, a serpent. And it's a whopping 1,348 feet long, right there in Ohio.
It's not just how big it is, though, right? It's like the way it's positioned has something to do with the stars.
You're talking about those astronomical alignments? Researchers have figured out that some spots on Serpent Mound, especially the serpent's head, line up with big celestial events. You know, things like solstices and equinoxes.
Hold on, you mean ancient people could have used Supermound as a giant calendar? Like to keep track of the seasons and maybe even have ceremonies under the stars? That's blowing my mind a little.
Yeah, it's definitely a theory that holds water. And speaking of uncovering hidden stuff, one of the things you guys sent takes us underground, literally. We've got this video from a YouTuber named Adam Batson. He's all about exploring caves near Serpent Mound.
Okay, so this guy is so enthusiastic. He finds this cave he calls, get this, the chest compressor. Yeah. The passage is so small, it's squeezing him as he crawls through. I'm getting claustrophobic just watching.
The wild part is how he describes the caves features these tubes, rimstone dams, vertical cracks. It all points to something called karst topography.
Oh, hold up. Break that down for me. Karst what now?
It's basically how limestone gets shaped over millions of years. Rainwater, it turns a little acidic, and it actually dissolves the limestone, creating those cool formations underground. And Batson even shows us some of the creatures living in this environment. Two-line salamanders, and even, get this, a rare cave salamander. Yeah. Apparently, you can only find this type in one county in Ohio.
It's a whole world down there. I love that kind of detail. But let's be real. One of the things that pulls people to Serpent Mound is, well, its reputation for things that go bump in the night.
Right, the whole paranormal vibe. People have recorded weird lights, creepy sounds, the feeling of being watched, even shadowy figures.
Some people say it's just people's imaginations working overtime. But there's this other theory that maybe the weird magnetic readings at Serpent Mound have something to do with it.
When we say magnetic anomalies, we're talking about changes in the Earth's magnetic field. You can measure them with special tools. Some researchers think these magnetic things could mess with electronics, maybe even with our brains, which could explain the strange experiences.
Whoa, wait a minute. Are you saying these magnetic things could be attracting paranormal activity? Like, is Serpent Mound some kind of ghost magnet or something?
It's definitely caused some arguments. And it's interesting, too, because the serpent itself is a powerful symbol in tons of cultures throughout history.
Yeah, serpents usually represent these powerful, mysterious forces, sometimes good, sometimes not so much. It's like the serpent in the Garden of Eden, right? Temptation, forbidden knowledge, that whole thing.
Exactly. That connection to ancient wisdom and the unknown, it adds another layer to the whole Serpent Mound puzzle.
So where do we go from here? We've got this ancient site, maybe aligned with the stars, secret caves underneath, A and D, maybe ghosts. It's a lot to unpack.
Well, hold on tight because things are about to get really interesting. One of the sources you sent throws a real curveball into the mix, a crop circle that popped up near Serpent Mound back in 2003.
Okay, now we're talking. This was on August 24th, right? And this woman, Delcy Nolan, she saw a bright light in the sky before the crop circle showed up.
And here's the kicker. They checked the field the day before, and there was nothing there. It seems like it appeared overnight.
This just keeps getting weirder. What are we supposed to think? A prank? Some elaborate hoax? Or could it be connected to those magnetic things and radio waves we were talking about?
People have been debating that forever. Looks like Serpent Mound still has some tricks up its sleeve.
I'm getting chills again. It's like we're peeking into a mystery, and I'm dying to see what's next.
Buckle up, because in part 2, we're going even deeper into Serpent Mound, exploring theories that might just change how you think about history, science, even reality itself.
Welcome back to our Serpent Mound deep dive. We've definitely uncovered some interesting stuff so far, from those astronomical alignments to all the spooky stories.
Dude, my mind is still blown by those crop circles and the whole magnetic anomaly thing. It's like we're dealing with a mystery inside a riddle, wrapped in a puzzle.
Exactly. And remember how we were talking about those alignments, the way Serpent Mound seems to line up with the solstices and equinoxes? Well, what if it's more than just some kind of giant ancient calendar?
Okay, you got me intrigued. What else could it be?
A lot of ancient cultures, they believe that those specific times of year, solstices and equinoxes, weren't just about time. They thought of them as like supercharged moments, times when the barrier between worlds got really thin.
Well, hold on. You're saying those people might have used Serpent Mound to, like, tap into those energies? Like it was some kind of conduit?
Right.
It's a pretty wild idea, right? Picture this. The serpent effigy bathes in the light of the setting sun on the solstice. Maybe it acted as a focal point for rituals or ceremonies.
Okay, now I'm getting chills again. But if Serpent Mound is so energetically charged, so powerful, why isn't it, well, more obvious? It's just sitting there in Ohio.
Maybe it's like dormant, waiting to be switched on again, or maybe it's giving off energies we just can't detect with our senses, or even the instruments we have. Think about radio waves. We can't see them, but they're everywhere.
So you're saying maybe we're just not tuned in to Serpent Mound's frequency? I guess that makes sense. We keep circling back to the serpent image. It's such a powerful symbol, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We've talked about the Garden of Eden story, but that's just one example. Serpents show up in so many cultures. They're linked to creation, wisdom, healing, but also destruction and chaos, too. They're like this double-sided coin, raw power, the kind of stuff that can nurture you or totally wipe you out.
It's like that saying, knowledge is power, but it can be used for good or evil, right? Could Serpent Mound be a warning? A reminder that messing with forces we don't get could be dangerous.
That's a pretty deep thought, and it connects to those ideas about Serpent Mound being a link to other dimensions, like other realms of existence.
Wait a minute, are we talking full-on portal here? Like, are those shadowy figures just interdimensional beings using Serpent Mound to pop in and out of our world?
It's definitely creepy to think about. And remember how we were talking about the carbon dating results for Serpent Mound being all messed up? What if it's actually way older than we think, like built by a civilization that was around before any of our recorded history?
Okay, now we're talking lost civilizations, ancient mysteries on a whole new level.
Imagine, right? A civilization with knowledge and tech so advanced we can't even grasp it. Maybe they even understood those other dimensions. They could have built Serpent Mound for reasons we can't even imagine.
It's like trying to do a jigsaw puzzle with only half the pieces, like trying to translate a language no one's ever seen before.
Exactly. We're stuck looking at it through our modern lens, but maybe the people who built it were on a totally different plane of existence.
That makes those caves that Adam Batson guy explored even weirder, right? What if those weren't just natural formations, but were used for rituals, or like initiations, maybe even gateways to the underworld?
Caves have always been seen as, like, mysterious, haven't they? Portals to another world. Places where shamans and mystics could talk to spirits. Maybe those caves under Serpent Mound were seen as entrances to a whole other realm.
So we're not just talking about Serpent Mound as an ancient site. It's like a nexus point, a place where different realities actually collide, like some kind of cosmic crossroads.
That's a pretty mind-blowing concept. And that mix of the real and the, well, not so real, that's what makes Serpent Mound such a puzzle.
Man, this deep dive just keeps getting deeper. We've got ancient civilizations, otherworldly energy, maybe even interdimensional beings. What's next?
Hold on tight. In part 3, we're going to explore some even crazier theories about Serpent Mound. We'll talk ancient myths, secret societies, and maybe even the origins of life itself. Stay tuned. This mystery is just getting started.
All right, we're back for the final part of our Serpent Mound deep dive. And man, after all the twists and turns we've already taken, I don't even know what to expect.
It's been a wild ride, that's for sure. We started by looking at the mound itself, and now we're talking about ancient rituals, other dimensions, lost civilizations.
Yeah. But you said we were going to get into some even crazier theories in this last part, so hit me with it. What are the rabbit holes that we're jumping down today?
Well, let's go back to that serpent image. It's not just a random shape, right? The people who built this thing chose a serpent for a reason, and that choice is loaded with meaning.
You're right. We talked about the Garden of Eden story, but serpents show up in tons of cultures. They're connected to creation myths, ancient wisdom, even powerful gods. Like, think about the rainbow serpent in Aboriginal Australian traditions, or Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent god in Mesoamerican cultures.
Exactly. And what's interesting is, even though these cultures are so different, there's a common thread. Serpents represent this duality. Creation, anti-destruction, wisdom, anti-temptation, healing, anti-poison. It's like they embody that raw, untamed power of nature, the kind of power that can create incredible beauty, but also total destruction.
So are you saying that maybe Serpent Mound isn't just a monument to ANY Serpent? Maybe it's dedicated to a specific serpent deity, like a powerful being that the builders worshipped or maybe even feared?
That's a really interesting idea. And if we go with that, it opens up a whole bunch of new questions. Like, were there specific rituals they did to appease this serpent god? Did they make offerings, sacrifices? Was this god a good one or a bad one?
Dude, the chills are back. But remember how we talked about Serpent Mound maybe being a portal to other realms? What if this serpent god wasn't just a god, but like an interdimensional being? Maybe those shadowy figures people see are its servants or messengers.
You're weaving quite the tale here, but it's definitely interesting to think about. And it fits with that whole idea of hidden knowledge we've been talking about. What if Serpent Mound wasn't just built to honor this being, but to communicate with it? Or even try to harness its power?
Okay, my mind is officially blown. Ancient serpent worship, interdimensional beings, secret knowledge. Where do secret societies fit into all of this? You know, like the Freemasons, the Illuminati, all those shadowy groups with hidden agendas?
Ah, yes, the secret societies. Those groups have always been drawn to places of power, places with ancient energy or mystical significance. And Serpent Mound, with its mysterious history and potential connections to other realms, it would definitely be on their radar.
You think they're hiding something there? Like some ancient artifact, a secret text, maybe the key to figuring out what Serpent Mound is really all about. Or maybe they're doing rituals there, tapping into those energies we've been talking about.
It's a pretty exciting thought. Even if there's no physical object hidden there, maybe they have secret ceremonies that have been passed down for generations. Ceremonies that connect them to Serpent Mound's energy and let them tap into its power.
Whoa, so Serpent Mound is like their secret headquarters, their mystical power source.
It might be more like a pilgrimage site, a place where they can reconnect with ancient wisdom and renew their connection to those hidden forces. But if these societies are real and they're using Serpent Mound, what are they trying to do?
Right. Are they trying to take over the world, achieve spiritual enlightenment? It's also secretive. You know, we've been talking about Serpent Mound as this ancient, mysterious place. But what if it's connected to something even bigger, something more fundamental? What if it's tied to the origins of life itself?
Now you're really thinking outside the box. But it's not totally crazy. Remember those weird magnetic fields and radio waves we talked about? Some people think those energies might be connected to the very beginning of life on Earth. Maybe even evidence that extraterrestrials had something to do with it way back when.
So are you saying that Serpent Mound is like a cosmic antenna, a receiver for those life-giving energies, or maybe even a landing site for ancient astronauts?
It's mind-blowing to think about, right? And it brings up some huge questions. Where did life really come from? Are we alone in the universe? What role did Serpent Mound play in, like, the whole grand scheme of cosmic evolution?
I feel like we went down a rabbit hole and ended up in a whole different reality, but that's what's so cool about these deep dives. They make you question everything you thought you knew.
Yeah, that's the power of a place like Serpent Mound. It's like a mirror, reflecting our curiosity, our fears, our hopes, our desire to understand. It forces us to face the unknown, to embrace the mystery.
So where does that leave us? We've looked at Serpent Mound from every angle. The archaeology, the astronomy, the paranormal stuff, even the metaphysical stuff. What's the bottom line? What's the real truth about Serpent Mound?
Well, I think the most important thing is this. Serpent Mound is a powerful and mysterious place. It doesn't fit neatly into any box. It's a place that keeps sparking our imaginations and challenging our beliefs. And maybe, just maybe, that's the whole point. Maybe the real purpose of Serpent Mound isn't for us to understand it, but to experience it, to feel it, to question it.
That's a really great way to put it. And I think it's the perfect way to wrap things up. Serpent Mound is an enigma, a puzzle we might never solve completely. But it's in the searching, the questioning, the embracing of the unknown that we really discover its magic. So to everyone listening out there, we encourage you to keep exploring, Do your own research, dive into the folklore, visit the site if you can, and let your intuition be your guide. What secrets will you uncover? What connections will you make? The journey is yours.
And who knows, maybe someday Serpent Mound will finally reveal its secrets. But until then, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep searching for the truth, no matter how strange or unsettling it may seem.
Absolutely. Keep those minds open and those imaginations working. And until our next deep dive, keep exploring.